Hey, we're live. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, I'll start talking about the women tech makers overall. So today is the day 2 for women tech makers. And today we're going to talk about different topics again, design thinking, sustainable development and everything. But I just want to make sure that you know the purpose, the main goal of this meetups. The meetups are actually give you direction, just information. They won't make you an expert in a certain field, like design thinking won't make you an expert, like designer maybe, and sustainable development expert somehow. But we believe that this will give you information to what is the next step to be an expert, or the first step for some of you. And we try and we did our best to make this meetups interesting for you. So now we're gonna have GDG lead talk about a little bit about GDG maybe. Oh no. So we are still waiting a little bit to get a little more audience. And please write in the comments from what platform you're coming from, just because we are just live on 2 different platforms at the same time. So we don't know from where you're coming from. Okay. Hello. I'm just reading some comments. Still waiting a little more to get a little more people so that we can start. Oh, from watching from Russia. Thank you. Hi. From Poland, I guess. Hey, now we got our GDG lead. You're muted.
Hello. Now I think you can hear me well. Nice to see you all today and day 2 of the meeting. Thank you very much for joining. So, yes, and we stand tuned for more people. So, Donna, I think you already told about the topics about the strategic and design thinking and Nigora's topic as well.
Yeah.
And why don't you introduce about our speakers as well? Like, who are they? What does like GD mean?
Yeah, Google developer expert. We are having today the expert, real expert, like in design. So this is Asmaa Ibrahim, and she's from Egypt, actually. Yeah, so how we already have so many questions about how to become a GDE and how to do this. But this topic is not going to be about GDs. Please, if you got some questions about GDE overall, ask in the chat channel. We got the group we have in the Telegram. We're going to answer those questions later. Today with her, we're going to focus on design thinking. And I do believe that she actually have a design thinking bootcamp. She will talk about it later in details. And we are having Nigora Isamiddinova today too. So she is actually product manager or process manager, you can say. So in Think IT or Think It, the startup engineering company, she is actually sustainable development expert. So I think we're gonna have some interesting things today.
Yeah, and also I like how international this event is. Yesterday we had speakers from Kazakhstan and also from Turkey, and today our great speakers are joining from Egypt and Tunisia, and that's a great kind of movement. And I hope this event will be very informative and like we'll get a lot of information from given topics and Now these times are enabling us to be kind of limitless. So we don't have kind of borders, and we can invite any kind of speakers to our board and like VTMs. And that's a great part of it. I really like it. So hope to see more events in this trend or direction. I think. And yeah, let's see.
Cool. I think we can start it, I guess. We are having some people here, so let's introduce Asma. Hello, Asma.
Hey, Jordana. I'm pronouncing your name correctly? Jordana?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you're doing great.
Okay. Okay. First of all, thank you for this nice introduction. It's really amazing. I'm little, oh, is it about me? Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned by her, my name is Asmaa Ibrahim, and today I will go through some topics related to design thinking or whatever you have a question, just ping it in the chat. And please, let's have this session like a conversation. Let's make it interactive as much as we can to make it more useful for you. I will not be restricted to the presentation, to be honest. I'm someone or a person who become an agile when he do a presentation or something like this. So feel free to ask me whatever you want in the chat, and we'll pick up your question, and I will keep a time at the end of the presentation for your question too. So let me start.
Yes,
Yeah, okay, thank you again, my dear. So I will start now. So please confirm if you can see my
I can
screen.
see you actually.
Okay, so you can see my screen well, you can hear me well. So I just
Yes,
say want a confirmation, want to have a confirmation from our audience. Hey, everyone in the other side of the world, please confirm that everything is okay with you. Just I wanted to see,
please,
okay,
yeah, please comment or plus sign or whatever.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we are
thank
having
you.
this. Yep.
Thank you. So let's start. Design thinking. I'm not sure if you have heard about this term before or not, but let's see. Yeah, as mentioned by my dear, it's SEBA is a startup specialized in providing workshop and boot camps that's related to design thinking. This is in a brief. And my experience is around 10 to 11 years in the IT, and recently I become artificial intelligence product owner for Vodafone Group. And yeah, so whatever is you wanted to know about design thinking, how to use it in in business, in our life even, yeah, it's really useful. I'm not sure if you heard about, so I will skip our introduction about who is SEBA. SEBA is like a coaching and mentorship services. Let's skip this and we need to focus on what I will provide to you today. I wanted to just to make it more credible or build a credibility with you. I'm already a certified facilitator coach in design thinking from IBM and AJ&Smart Facilitator in design thinking. I'm mentoring some startup in Poland that's related to Google Accelerator, and as I mentioned, I'm working for Vodafone. Design thinking. Let's talk technical and define design thinking. Design thinking is like a methodology. It's a way of doing a business problem solving via design and including our customer. To be honest, in business and in life, let's give an example from business. When we do a development and using agile and sprints and so on, we didn't do a proper involvement of the customer at the beginning. And what's the consequence of something like this? Or redoing a lot of work, didn't get a high customer satisfaction from the beginning, and investing a time and effort and cost definitely in something is not usable. From here, the design thinking terms came to the business. But even before using it to the business is the term that came from Stanford. I'm not sure if you heard about this term before or not. I will be sneaky sometime and ask you in the chat. Do you heard about design thinking before? Just confirm yes or
Actually,
not. I
yeah, I was searching about the design thinking boot camps and stuff, and I actually got a boot camp information about the Stanford one, like which is not free,
yeah,
which is quite
yeah.
expensive. It was
It
like
is not. It's
100. I'm like,
2000.
yeah,
Yeah, it's 2000 actually dollar. I get that. It's like the
Oh,
minimal cost of this bootcamp, to be
yeah,
honest.
minimum. I think the most expensive one was 1,300, and I was like,
Yeah,
and
it is.
bootcamp that you were actually sharing information about in LinkedIn. It was, I guess, free, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's free. I'm running workshop and boot camps for free for
That was
kids
quite
in
interesting.
Egypt and for startup. To be honest, so I'm not sure if you can hear if you can see the slides that I'm scrolling, or you just seeing the first slide of the presentation.
It is just first slide.
Yeah, this is what I see because it doesn't move, which is strange.
Now it's moving.
Yes. Okay, something strange. Yeah, because I'm talking while, but yeah, now it's work. Okay. So yeah, I see that people say I took design thinking course at
Yeah.
university. So let me give you what's the difference between what we provide and what you have taken. Back into the presentation or back into my slides, I just given a design thinking definition. It's like a problem solving methodology via design. So what else? Yeah, let's go again. Why design thinking? Yeah, I'm a sneaky person and I will keep asking you a lot of questions. From your perspective, why we need to have design thinking and
Well,
even in our life?
in our life, you know, to be a developer for myself, so, like I was trying to be backend developer. This is kind of a, you may think that this is far from design, but it's still you came to the point that this is so important that you have the design thinking. Like you care about the design, you care about the UX and UI that people are experiencing. Because I was personally so obsessed with the backend, like thinking about it, and then at one point, I just figured out that this was so important how people use it and how people see this, what you make. And I actually moved to the front end. I am actually doing front end right now to understand this. I can't say I am a person who understands it like totally. I may think that like this is very important, but I don't have all the knowledge.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but you touch one of the points that is related to design thinking, to be honest. So moving from, you have mentioned, Rona, that why design thinking? It's a way of problem solving. As I mentioned, you can do problem solving via design thinking. You can do brainstorming. You can do idea prototyping. You can do product design, as you mentioned, from UI and UX perspective. Even you can use it to tackle some business processes a problem, even if you have some problem with the team and you wanted to use the methodology itself to tackle these challenges or problem, you can use design thinking. Oh, come on, is it like a magic? No, it's not a magic. Yeah, let me share with you the story behind design thinking. It came from Stanford. It's like a science came from Stanford University at 1090, yeah, 950. They start to put the first process of design thinking. They define the first design thinking, how I can say, definition. So from here, I can say that the design thinking has a process, and this process includes five main stages or phases, starting from understanding or being empathetic with the problem owner till we define the problem, ideation about the problem, prototyping, and testing. Oh, nice. It's like some theoretical terms that you have mentioned to us, Asma, but we didn't feel it yet. Yeah, let me make it simple. Yeah, when you have any problem and you try to talk about this problem with anyone, the first thing that you want from the person to listen to you, to be empathetic, to
Yeah.
start to listen without comment, and then they can comment because when we have even in the business when we have a customer they come to us and can you develop this product for us and so on so on so on with a business requirement, and we discovered that the customer didn't differentiate between what is the need and what is he wants, because there is a big difference between the need and the want. And in this phase you need to be more empathetic to listen to the owner of the problem and try to figure the problem itself. I remember a quote say the first step to solve the problem to know the problem. And this phase you start to list all the problems that is related to the person. Once you have this one, you can move to the next phase, which is the definition of the problem. You need to start to pick up what is the most important problem in this problem list, and that you should tackle it at the beginning from high priority, high impact, and all of this stuff. You will measure this with your team or even in your life to define what is the main problem that you need to tackle now. Once you have this, you have reached the third phase, which is ideation. Start to find a solution for this problem. After you have done this, you can start to prototype, to do like a prototyping. Prototyping could be sketching. Yeah, even from psychology perspective, you can start to write down what the problem in like a paper and start to list different solution. Even sometime visualizing this solution is better to your memory and your mental decision after this. To be honest, this came from a different psychological theory. After prototype, you need to test. You need to validate if this solution is doable or not, because it might be, no, this is not the right solution at this time. You need to change it. You need to pick up another idea from the ideation phase that you have done in the ideate phase. You need to pick up another idea of a solution. Then you start to pick up, to prototype it and test it, and again and again and again. So please remember that it's like a process. We can do it in the business in a way, and we can do it in our life using another way. And to be honest, from this phase, I start to provide workshop for kids starting from 12 years old. It's a workshop about how they can define their long-term goal, challenges about this goal, who can help them define the persona, even putting a timeline to achieve this goal, and so on. In the business, there is what's called bootcamp, and this bootcamp is like design sprint. And I will tell you what's the difference between design thinking and design sprint, and what is the story behind design sprint. If you are okay with this slide, I will proceed to the next one.
Sure. Please go on.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to make it more surprise or something like this. I make you enthusiastic to see what is the next. Next slide to show, oh, what this? It's the same process, but has been defined by who was called Norman Group in 2013, and they mentioned, no, the design thinking process is a non-linear process, which makes sense. Because when you have finished any phase, you can return back to the previous one to do some tweaks, to pick up an idea, to do prototype again, to define the problem from the beginning. So they mention it's a non-linear process, which is, I'm totally agree with this one. Even otherwise, you have another comment, please go ahead and tell me, no, I disagree in this one. But I cannot.
No, I totally agree. But if you are the audience, I mean, don't agree with that, please leave a comment. We argue about it.
Yeah, you can. I'm just make it more democratic, and you can mention whatever in your mind, and try to ask me and say, yeah, it might be doable, it might be not doable, and so on. So this is from the definition perspective. Let's move more to enter the practical world and define design sprint. Any one of you heard about design sprint terminology or keyword? I know that you might heard about design thinking, which is not a new thing to hear about it. It exists since around more than 50 years ago. But what about design sprint? Do you heard about it?
I've never heard about it on.
As a GDG, we had a design sprint in the first year, like 2018. We invited like 5 companies, and we invited a GDG from Turkey, and we had a design sprint kind of workshop with them.
Super, because the design sprint terminology has been popped in the field in 2018 by Google themselves. Let me share with you the story. Yeah, design sprint is a 5-day process, has been defined by Google venture guys, Jack and John. They start to define a process that tackle or answering the most business question through design, prototyping, testing ideas with customer. And they have applied this 5 days process with a different product, and they make a big success actually. And from here, there is a company called AJ&Smart. If you Google it in YouTube or even in YouTube channel, they have a channel. They put a lot of videos about design sprint, and they start to launch their book, which is called The Sprint. If you want to be specialized or mentor or facilitator, I advise you to start with this book and this channel, to be honest. They put like they can do customization to make the 5 days process, instead of being 5 days, to be 4 days. Why design sprint in the business? Definitely to tackle the time. We need to have a rapidly solving big challenges. We need to do new or creating new products or even improving existing ones. This is the main actually driver that came why we need to have design sprint. And sprint is came from agile. I'm not sure if you heard about agile methodology. It's like a delivery. It's a methodology to enhance the development delivery, especially for software. And it came actually from non-software mindset, to be honest. Return back to the design. Design sprint, it could be one of the sprint that came before the under the agile umbrella. It could be one of the sprint that ran before doing the development of the product. Super. So what are the process of the design sprint? The process of the design sprint is 5 phases. It's like the same 5 phases. Remember, design process,
Yeah.
5 phases. Design sprint, 5 phases. But they start to transform this. Oh, how I can say theoretical name like understanding, define, prototype to have some tangible names
Mhm.
from the business. When we talk about tangible, we say, I need, okay, in the first phase, what the outcome of the first phase? To have a map. What the outcome of the second phase? To have a sketch. What's the
Mhm.
outcome of the third phase? To have decision. Then having a prototype and testing. So you'll find they use the same 5 phases, but in a business terminology, better than just putting a theoretical names. So in every phase, you will find we run a lot of activities to end up with a map. And the second phase, we run a set of activities to end up with a sketch, and so on. So in every phase, we have a set of activities we should run with the team who is responsible to deliver this product or to do a design or even enhance a process or support the team. In every phase, we have a set of activities. Again, what I provide as Asma through SEBA, we apply design sprint for business, but we provide design thinking workshop for kids. So there is a difference between the two things. When we talk with kids, we talk about design thinking for life. But when we talk about business, we talk about design sprint for business, like building a new product or even enhancing existing one. It's a product design more than just putting theoretical steps or activities. The team, let me share with you a story, and I wanted to transfer the know-how that I have today via story. So assume that we have a team and we have a customer that came to this team. I wanted to build a fancy online learning platform. As we are all of us sitting at home now, hope all of us stay safe due to COVID-19 issues. So you will find a new business came which is related to learning, online learning. So you have a customer say, I wanted to build an online learning platform, this platform to use, for example, virtual reality. It's like a fancy one. It's more interactive with the user or learner and so on. So what we are going to do, you need to have a team, and this team will include, for example, designer, a product manager, business expert, technical expert, and you need to pick up a facilitator like me. This facilitator will work with the manager at the beginning who to set the floor or to set the table, as we can say, to set the stage. Setting the stage means that you need to pick up the challenge, and this challenge need to be defined with the management inside the organization. It depends on the size of the organization. It might be small company, it might be your like inside your team. It depends. You can tweak it with the facilitator to map with your environment setup, with your team qualification and skill set, and what you have from the resources perspective. Whenever you have defined the challenge, you need to have a decider inside the room, the person who will say, yeah, what you are saying is right or no wrong from the business perspective or even from the technical perspective. Recruiting the sprint team, schedule um, like interview with an extra expert in the field. As I mentioned, pick up the facilitator and book a 5 days in your calendar, and definitely it will be online design sprint during this duration. And there is a lot of tools that could facilitate your work online, to be honest. You can use online whiteboard like Miro, Mural, Nurova, all of this whiteboarding tool. You need to have like a time sensitivity. You need to set a time for every activity. Otherwise, the sprint will not be that effective as you expect. You will use video conferences conferencing tool, but no, there is no food. You can do a virtual drink or something like this. I don't know, but you can do it. This is like sprint supplies. So let's move to the design sprint process and what are the activity that you will go and do it with your team as a facilitator or with the team that who hire you. There is a set of activities. I'm returning back to the chat. If you have any comments or even a question, please put it and I will take it during the presentation. Return back to the design sprint process. In the first day, there is definitely the first activity you need to set as a facilitator. You need to explain the problem. You need to explain the challenge to the team, what you want to achieve, what the customer need. Even you will have the customer at the table, and might be the customer came and say, no, this is what, no, I didn't mention this or whatever. But at least you need to set like at least a common understanding about the problem. What we are going to do during this 5 days. Are we going to gather for some funny activity? No, we're here to achieve some objectives and long-term goal, which is building or providing a prototype for our online learning platform. Once you have explained this, you move to the first activity, which is called setting the long-term goal. If I asked you, I have a customer and mention, yeah, I wanted to build online learning platform. From your perspective, what is the long-term goal of this business problem?
Long-term goal
Yeah.
for the online platform, so that it actually needs to develop like it should like dynamically have all the database classes change all the time. People work on it, like they add new classes, they remove their old, just to maintain this process together, so that you just build a system that works without breaks with this change, rapid change in the database and stuff. I mean, I just see it like this. I don't
Super.
know if
Yeah,
it's
super. You have transferred your ideas about the long-term goal. And this what happened. If you have a team of 5 people in the workshop or in the session, everyone will start to articulate the long-term goal from their perspective, which is really, really amazing. You will be impressed with the different idea from different perspective. And this mainly the most important point that to put all together all the people at the same time in one room and start to brainstorm what's the long-term goal, even if it's defined. Our customers came and say we need to build an online platform, but you have mentioned interactive, you have talked about the technical perspective, you talked about fancy feature on top of this platform. So you will find every persona transfer their area of expertise to articulate the long-term goal. So let's share with you some example of long-term goal. Yeah, you'll find, yeah, in 6 months, we will build our interactive online learning platform, or achieving entertainment while we provide learning service, or building the most stable database behind the platform. All of this is are long-term goals. When we pick up the long-term goal that we are going to work on it, it should be specific via duration. As much as you can, you need to put an estimation. Like in 2 months, I wanted to achieve this and this and this. In 1 month, you need to do this and this and this. And for your information in life, even if you are going to set your long-term goal, please more specific. Try to pick up a smart goal. And this is what we say about what is the smart goal features. And in this phase, it's more optimistic one. All people are charmful, and we want to do this and to do this and do this. Okay, nice. We have agreed that the long-term goal and the most smartest long-term goal is building our interactive and online platform through 6 months. Awesome. Moving to the next. Oh my goodness, activities. And the next activities getting pessimistic, and this is what people most probably do. If you are going to ask any person, even me, came and ask me, you wanna your help to do this and this and this. My first answer will be, but we missed this and this and this, so we cannot do this. We complaining, trying to
Yes.
be negative. So if as a facilitator, if you could train people at the beginning to think positive with you during the design sprint, you are successful. This will help you to whatever is coming in the other activities. It will be better because you have trained the mindset of the people with you to be more positive. To be honest, even when we ask people to mention, okay, what are the blocker that are preventing us from doing this long-term goal. Oh my goodness, they will start to brainstorm and say, we do not have skill set, we do not have the tools, we do not have right people, we do not have enough resources. You need to try to change the mindset of the people with you at the room and start to ask them, okay, can you propose what you are missing more than complaining? Oh, give us an example, Asma. Yeah, like instead of saying we do not have, can we have, can we get a training to in web development? Can we have an access to tool X and Y and Z? Can we have a proper resources? So you start to switch the negative mindset to be more positive mindset. And from here, this is activity called sprint question. What are the most challenges that we have? We need to tackle to achieve this long-term goal. Once you have finished this activity, you move to map. You have a set of personas you have already defined, like learner, admin, whoever is participating in having this online learning platform. But by the way, they will have like a journey to access this online learning platform via sign up, login, searching for a course, registration, all of this stuff. You start to build a map. You put the persona at the left and you put your long-term goal at right, and you start to draw the journey between the persona till they reach the long-term goal. And this phase, you will find a lot of journeys came from the team. They start to put their ideas, like an example of how the map looks like. It's not that simple. It's a little bit complicated. And do not be worried that it's not necessary to be on-site whiteboard. As I mentioned, we have online whiteboard that could be used to solve this. Setting persona and setting long-term goal, you need to ask the expert, because it might be what you have mentioned is not feasible from the technical perspective. And one of the most difficult design sprint I have run as a product owner, that I'm a product owner and at the same time I'm facilitator. So I should no, I shouldn't judge the idea. I should become like a facilitator only. And when we came to ask the expert, I need to remove the hat of the facilitator and take the hat of the expert and try to assess the long-term goal, question map. And as I mentioned before, it's a non-linear process. You might return back to the long-term goal. You might to do some tweaks. You need to pick up different challenges. You will define the map in a different way and so on, till you have a high satisfaction about the map. Once you have a map, you have end up with a first day outcome, which is the map, if you remember. So there is another activity we do. It's called How Might We. How Might We? It's like training your team to start to pick up. Okay, if the main journey for a learner to access a course, or the main journey that she or he will come and try to search for a course, they will try to schedule for a course. This is the core functionality of the platform. But how via like a form, how it looks like. So how might we, it's like go deep dive in how we can do this for the customer, so to provide a better customer experience. You'll end up with a fancy ideas. And let's remind you that most of this activity take from 30 to 50 minutes. It depends on the facilitator view. And how might we activity, you need to label. After this, we do a clustering of the ideas. We start to label them. We start to take a note. Even everyone start to present their ideas. And it's a part of every activity that I have mentioned, that the team need to take a note, even ask a question, all of this stuff. After this, there is a voting actually in this activity to see which ideas came to provide a better user experience, to provide registration for a course journey, like an example. Once you have done the first day, sorry.
I'll get just a question on this point, but what about the decider? Do we have just decider plus votes together so that there will be an expert idea in this decision-making process? Or how this happens?
Yeah. Yeah, the decider, let me share with you one of the, because every sprint has a different story. So sometimes you need a decider, sometimes you didn't need. Decider, he or she will be responsible to take the final decision. Even if the team voted that this is the best idea, the decider
Mhm.
need to come and assess this best idea and say, no, it's not the best idea. It's not visible with our roadmap. No, we have a limitation when we try to develop this or deploy this inside the organization. We will have a limitation. Like an example, if the expert or the decider one inside the team or one of the team, sometimes the expert is a decider at the same time, and sometimes they are separated. It depends. So you have a different stories. It depends on what are the main outcome of this sprint. Who are the persona who participated in this sprint? You can play with the decider or whatever the expert as much as you can. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, oh, we have finished the first day. You are on awesome. If you did this day successfully, you have make around 30% of the work. You minimize the redoing work in the other phases. In other phase, you start to sketch. You have already an idea. In the first phase, you have already defined the map. You have different ideas around the map. You have the user journey, all of this stuff. You start to do some research, do lighting demo. You need to, yeah, to keep a space for your team to do a research. They might be end up, this idea is not that crazy idea because this idea is already done before. So you need to give a space for your team, so they start to search in internet about a solution or a better solution from the technology, lightning demo. Even you need to provide her role actually of the expert people from the technical perspective. You need to bring people who are expert in this era to start to provide a demo for your team, so they start open a new open their minds in other idea or something like this, which is exist in the market, which doesn't exist, which is already will come in 2025 a vision, something like this. And you will have a lot of ideas. I mentioned before, you need to start to reframe the idea and the opportunities that we have, reframing the problem, reframing the opportunities as much as you can. This is one of the lightning demo activities and one of the activities that I have mentioned before. And you need to make more tight from the time, just 5 minutes for you, everyone in the team, to learn your team member how to be more focused, specific in a short time, and deliver the idea in a short time. After this, you start to pick up one journey and do 4-part sketch. And 4-part sketch, I did not have an A4. You will bring an A4 paper and start to flip it 4 parts and start to draw the user journey. Like research for how the dashboard will be look like, how the interface will be look like from the user perspective, definitely. And you start to, every idea is really important. Actually, the most successful facilitator who is the most empathetic and most listener person, and who listen to the idea without being judgmental, which is difficult to be not judgmental person. Once you have given opportunity for every team member to do for sketch, everyone will put their sketch at the whiteboard, and then you need to pick up which idea is the best one. Because Drona, for example, she put an idea about the research for a course, and I put an idea for a research for a course, and there is another person in the team, and so on. So which one is better? So we need to pick up which sketch of among the sketches will be, this is like a crazy idea, like a crazy solution. We will take this one. Even and as a good facilitator, you need to listen to people. You need to understand. Might be some people be jealous that their idea hasn't been taken. Some people might be observative, might be why you didn't vote for my idea. We are human, so you need to break the ice of this feelings. And there is like a games we are doing as a facilitator inside the design sprint to tackle these issues and to to make the people more enthusiastic. They can vote for other idea if they found it good or something like this. We build like a heat map, art gallery. I do not have this time to go deep dive in every activity and make it more detailed, but I give you like a title so you can search for this title. Definitely we have voting, and definitely we have the decider. If even he or she is involving during the voting, he start to give us like, notes. No, take care. This is not the right. This is not the proper. This is not the best way. we can enhance it, and so on. And you start to draw every one idea, every one name, and the user journey in details. And when the user came and hold the mobile application to log in to access our online platform, online learning platform, what they will practice from user experience. They will press in this button, they will do sign up, they will do login. Where even the position of the sign up and login button, there is some science behind it. And this is the role of the UX person. There is some psychological aspect in this one. So you start to draw every step till the user take the benefit from the application. We mention it like an end-to-end user journey. This is like an example how look the storyboard, how the storyboard looks like. You will see it. Oh my goodness, it's like this. Yeah, every team will start to. We have voted for one sketch at the beginning, so every team member will start to deep dive in the idea and sketching it in details, even how every dashboard should look like. And this is what's called prototyping, and start to even the prototype, it could be paper prototype, as you see. Even we have cutting down the keyboards like an example. We start to put textbooks, button where the button should be exist, the color, location, all of this stuff. It's really important from user experience. Once you have done paper prototype, you can do digital prototype as you like. There is what's called Figma tool. If you search about Figma, you can do like mockup without functionality, just giving the view about the user journey. Once you have done this, you reach the last day, which is the test. You need to do customer interview, even interview with your customer or interview with the end user. It's not necessary that your customer is the end user, because the application might be business to business. Once you have tested the prototype, you can get the feedback. So you can run another 2 days, for example, to take this feedback and do enhancement in your prototype. But guess what? We have ended up with a prototype that might be acceptable by our customer only in 5 days. Let me share with you that in actual business dairy, when we apply design, before applying design thinking, we can take 6 to 7 months do development, then back to the customer, collecting business requirement. No, this is not what I want. This is what no, this is not what I need. No, I need this and this and this and this happening. And to be honest, I'm responsible as a product owner in a team is related to AI-based application, artificial intelligence application, which is really difficult to know that the customer need what, because we are talking about a hype technology. Everyone came, I wanted to apply machine learning. Come on, do you need a machine learning? Actually, most of our customers didn't actually, the business problem didn't require actual machine learning, but they wanted to apply machine learning. So you need to start to tackle this problem from the beginning. So we have found that running design sprint like this will make it faster, will make it better from the customer experience, from the customer engagement at the beginning. Even the team will have a good understanding. To be honest, the success or the failure of this design sprint, it depends on how the facilitator is playing this game with the team, because it's not easy to make people open up with you, to make the people accept what you provide or play with them. It's not that easy. So this is like the 5-day design sprint process, as mentioned to you. I'm trying to make the presentation more short as much as I can to give you a 15 minutes, as I promised.
I feel like we spend a little more time on this topic, right? But we like at the beginning decided this is gonna be like short talk, and then it turned out like this. Honestly, I would spend a little more time with this topic, and I really just figured out this needs a lot more time than we decided it should have. So I'm sorry for that.
No worries at all. I'm happy that at least I could give you some like title or even head-ups so you can search about them. In internet, you will find definitely you will find a lot of resources, but what the most actually challenge now to learn design thinking is the cost of the design sprint or even the design thinking course. There is MIT one, which is around $2,000, and there is another one by Stanford, at the same range. Even there is another one by AJ&Smart, it's around 100 or so 1,000 actually, which is really too much for people to, if I'm still in the learning phase, how I can get these things with a low price. This is what I'm trying to do via SEBA. The only prices that we are taking, it's like operation cost. I will share with you something funny. We only provide design sprint by around 70 dollars, something like this, just for operating the team, something like this. Even the workshop, most of the workshops with very low cost, like $50 for for every kid, and we are limited with the number, to be
This is
honest.
so.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
mean, this is actually really cool. I mean, this is so much dedication to the work you're putting in, and just taking the fee just for the production process and stuff. This is so cool, actually. It is because street like design stuff always are so expensive. Like getting an iPhone, right? With the good design in UX, you pay a
Yeah,
lot more
yeah,
than
and to be honest,
Android.
you
Stuff
need to
like this.
yeah, and to be honest, I'm keen to deliver some high quality content. So I just taking my coach certificate from IBM and AJ&Smart, and I'm running this design sprint inside organization like Vodafone, which is a big name since 1 year ago. So might be I assume that yeah, I'm a qualified person to do this. Hopefully the people that
Mhm.
attend with me get the value from this as much as we can. We are non-profit organization, to be honest, or that. So I believe in community, to be honest. So hopefully people can get a value from this and gain a benefit. So I see a lot of people start to put up some question,
There's
which
And before that, please follow her in LinkedIn. She's actually sharing some useful information. She's sharing information about her bootcamp. So if you want to apply or join her. And now we're going to move to the question and answer section. We got some questions ready here. I will start with this one.
yeah. So we have
It's
a
like,
question. Which is the most important? Sorry, go ahead, Rhoda. So you wanna to read it? Please go ahead.
oh, yeah. Which is the most important phase of the design thinking?
Yeah, from my perspective, there is no most important, less important. All of them are really important. And as I mentioned before, as much as you can, if you can understand the problem, you know the solution. This is what I read at different courses. You need to understand the problem. So from my perspective, the first two phases are really important, really important, because if you didn't tackle this phases or having an articulated definition of the problem, you cannot proceed. You will proceed definitely, you will do prototype, you will do ideation, but on the right not on the right problem. Do it, you did it for the wrong problem. So the first two phases are really important to put it in a proper way, or define the problem in proper way. So what games? Someone, Abdu, asked me about the
Yes,
games. Oh, it's like a secret. We have a lot
yes.
of games we are doing. It depends on the situation, to be honest. Sometime I see people come and start to be more tough when they listen to other idea. To be honest, I did an activity. Please, can everyone stop working and come to me? I wanted to, and I put for them like a pencil. Actually, I have a pencil, and I start asking them, can you give me 100 usage of this pen or pencil? They start, come on, 100 usage of pencil, it's just writing. I told them, who said that? And they give them like 5 to 10 minutes, and they start to brainstorm. Some people start to say, we can put it like this, we can hold the book, we can use it a bookmark, and so on. So people start to listen to everyone ideas, and they mention, we got it. You mean that everyone idea, it's not new idea from a different perspective, and it doesn't mean that my idea is right and his idea is wrong. Every idea is useful. It depends on how I can use this idea. So we need to start to train the people, a trained mindset. It's a mindset. You are tackling mindset. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Even if someone came to me and asked me to do something that I didn't used to do, I will say, why I need to do this, why I need to trust you, all of this stuff. So as much as you are smart in doing some psychological traits, you will tackle this actually. How to apply to design thing to your team? Oh, hopefully, Zeo, if I have any opportunity in my team, you can send me your CV via LinkedIn, Asmaa Ibrahim. If I have definitely any opportunity for my team in a different location, because we are a global company, definitely I will push your CV inside. But it's not a promise. I promise you to push your CV. not bring you an opportunity. Let's be careful. Is design thinking a skill? I'm not sure if we can say it's a skill set, but you can train yourself to have it. I wanted to share with you some personal things that I have came to my. Let me tell you, I'm thinking about my startup since 5 years ago, and I have established around 5 communities in Egypt, but I didn't start my startup. And I have started my startup easily when I take the design thinking in my life as a perspective. I put like a whiteboard. I wanted to share it with you definitely. I have a whiteboard. I start to write down my long-term goal, map it with a person. I do everything. So I assume it's a skill set. You can start, you can train yourself, you can use it, you can practice different activities. It's useful in your life. Thank you, Abdul. Happy Ramadan. كل سنة وانت طيب. We say it. Happy Ramadan. Pleasing Ramadan for everyone, definitely. Thank you. I'm not sure if you have any other question, dear.
I think this was the last question.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy that I'm with you today. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Asma. That was wonderful. I hope people enjoyed your talk. Personally, I did so. Oh, here's the last question
Oh.
getting here.
Okay, so we can apply design thinking in your education. Oh, I am applying this. If you read about my startup, it's an education startup. I giving workshop for kids now. I will share with you one of the two stories actually. Due to coronavirus, all schools now closed in Egypt, and all kids are at home now. And to finish their graduation year, they should actually finish what's called report. So you'll find every kid in Egypt is responsible to deliver a report that's related to a specific topic, which is not used to be in the education system in Egypt. What happened? We have selected this problem, and I have started to run some workshop with a group of kids how to tackle this challenge. And we definitely, this is like a success story from my perspective I have done. So design thinking course, I didn't believe in training. I didn't believe to say, come on, what is design thinking? What's the benefit of design thinking? No, you need to people to practice it. So you need to run workshop with them to bring a problem, to work on this problem via activities. So they will learn actually the idea behind the design thinking in a better way, rather than training and so on. Even you need to provide some coaching and mentorship after this session with the kids. This is from my perspective, how you can deliver design thinking in education. Hope I can answer your question, Abdul.
I hope you did. He's not writing anything. But, yeah, I think he did, and he's not responsible. Thank you very much, Asma.
Oh,
It was
okay.
wonderful to have you.
Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe and communicate
Yeah.
with me via LinkedIn. Send me your question. Thank you, and have a
Yes.
nice
Please
evening.
join her now if you're really interested in design games and everything. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Okay.
So the next,
Yes. Let's see if Nigora is ready. And before that, so let's give some couple minutes to stretch ourselves and like have some fresh mind. Maybe if you want to drink something, get a drink or get some snacks if you want. And it was really great talk, and we're wow, already 53 minutes. That's a lot of time, and great presentation from Asma. Yeah,
yes.
so I see Nigara is also getting prepared, and if everyone is ready, let's let's jump in. And Abdul Malikov is saying you shouldn't drink alcohol. You don't.
I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm not, So he's my
Okay,
friend.
so yeah, don't take drugs
bullying.
as well then. Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay.
You people.
Cool.
So let's
If
start.
everything is ready, Nigora, is everything ready? Thumbs up. Cool.
Cool.
Let's bring Nigora.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Okay, so everyone can see and hear me. That's what it says here.
Yes, you are live. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I think Jordana, you already gave a kind of short introduction about myself. So are we giving people a couple of minutes to I don't know, to just stretch or relax, or should I just go ahead and jump in?
Let's get another 2 minutes so we can have some talk, and let's wait some people.
Yeah, perfect.
So how's life, right?
Good. Good. As good as it can get during these times. Yeah, a really great talk by Asma. I also really enjoyed it. I think design thinking is design thinking and generally human-centered design is something that is, I mean, basically it can be applied not just in technology, right, or like business solutions, but everywhere, and in everyday life, but also in the kind of policy design, in the way we go about designing our life, in the way we go about designing just about everything. So I think we will also, I'll kind of probably mention a little bit of that also in my in my presentation.
Cool. And will you talk about your company in the presentation, or would you like to give some short introduction? What does ThinkIt do, and what do you do in?
I can give some. Yeah, I wasn't going like this wasn't really planned in my presentation, but I can mention. I can explain what they do, and because it's also technology related, and they also work on certain kind of sustainable development challenges. Let's say. So yeah, I can briefly talk about them now. So ThinkIt is actually a startup that was founded in 2017. And it's based in Tunis, Tunisia, and in Berlin. So it's a technology collective whose mission is to basically bridge the gap between brilliance, which is people, right? People that are highly educated, skilled, so software engineers, data scientists, kind of computer engineers, and an opportunity. So I think as also people in Uzbekistan are familiar with this problem, because Tunisia, for example, has a really high percentage of educated, university-educated people, and also really strong in everything that's kind of more like math-related, mathematics, data science, and engineering, software engineering. However, there's a very big unemployment problem, and so there's not a lot of kind of exciting jobs for young engineers like yourself, like many of you here, I think. So I think it was created with this idea in mind that in the 21st century, with everything, the technology that we have today, opportunity doesn't have to be necessarily in the same country, right? We are like just the way we did today, Asma connecting from Egypt, also North Africa, I'm connecting from Tunisia. Some of you guys are in Uzbekistan, some other people, I think I heard Russia, some other places. Yeah, we're connected like we have never been before. And so the idea is to basically gather the brightest minds in Tunisia or in North Africa for now, and connect them with some very exciting projects around the world, with clients and partners around the world. You can also go ahead and feel free to, go and check out their website. Kind of the things that there are a bunch of different projects that they work on, but mostly it's kind of technology, like software engineering related. But also looking into problems in automotive industry, for example. They're one of their biggest clients is BMW, looking for problems in renewable energy, like different cloud solutions, and how to basically help their clients with these types of problems. Wow. So that's a short intro.
Oh yeah, that's a really great, and it seems like Tunisia and Uzbekistan have something in common as well in this kind of having some unemployment rate and having like a lot of people who are smart and brilliant, as you mentioned. So yeah, if you want to check it out, please, you can Google sync it. And I think we can start our presentation now, right?
Yes, I can go ahead. Let me try. So, screen sharing. Okay. 1 second. Let me just figure this out. Okay. Okay. So, can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Now it's full screen. Everything is fine.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, first of all, let me again thank you, Nuruddin and Dordana, for reaching out. I think so. For me, maybe my background is a little bit different than from the audience. My background is not in software engineering, but another type of engineering, chemical. I'll explain it, my background a bit later also. But also just wanted to say that this is not necessarily kind of a lecture style, just like, Asma was saying. I would like it to be as interactive as possible, and it's more of a conversation and more of a kind of different thoughts and ideas that I want to present that we can afterwards maybe discuss and just converse about. So technology for sustainable development and social impact. Some of the things that I kind of wanted to briefly touch upon with this talk is so the questions that kind of I will touch upon and that I would like to maybe start answering is what is sustainable development and why do we need it? And what is technology and what is its purpose most of all? And then also give some examples of applications of technology for social impact and for sustainable development. So just quickly before we go into the kind of the actual presentation, a little bit of my background. So I am from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. That's my home. I grew up there. Then I had a chance to go on a high school exchange called Flex. It's a program sponsored by U.S. State Department when I was in high school. So spent 1 year in the United States and came back home. Spent 1 year at home and then decided that I wanted to go back to the U.S. to study. And so I spent 1 year kind of preparing for exams in Uzbekistan, but also applying for different programs in the U.S. And this is how I ended up at Drexel, which is a university in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I started with biology, and then I switched to chemical engineering. Switched to chemical engineering because biology was way too much to learn by heart. And I kind of was not too bad in chemistry, and I thought, okay, I like chemistry, let me do something like, chemistry plus math. And after graduation, so I spent 5 years at Drexel, and then afterwards I worked as a process engineer in the US, France, and mostly US and France, with some trips here to China. So I was working in the pharmaceutical industry, kind of designing plants and designing manufacturing lines for pharmaceutical companies. And then basically installing them. And then at some point, after about 5 years working, I was feeling that although I really loved my job, that there was something that was missing, and I think that something was more of this kind of social, people side of the work. And I decided that as I was always interested in international development and kind of, public policy in general, I decided that I wanted to pursue my master's in something else related to international development. So then afterwards, I got accepted into Columbia University, into the School of International Public Affairs, and I did my master's in Master of Public Administration with a focus on development practice and sustainable development. And so during my 2 years in New York, it was really some of the best 2 years in my life. It was very rich in experiences and meeting different people, conversing with different academics that are doing kind of the best work in their fields. I got to travel also a lot. I went to Costa Rica, to Senegal, to Singapore during this time, kind of looking at different problems and how societal problems, right? And how these problems are affecting people. And afterwards, after graduation, I came here to Tunisia. So this is some pictures of Tunisia. And for those, if you're not familiar, if you're not exactly sure where it's located, it's in North Africa, on the shore of the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so now I would like to maybe start by just asking you this question. So how would you describe the future that you want to live in? And hopefully, let me see, maybe we can try it this way. So you can, this is my first time trying it, so it's going to be an experiment. But if everybody can go to menti.com, you can use this code, which is 522135. And answer this question. So you just please put in just one or two adjectives. Yes, menti.com, and this is the code. And so the question that I'm asking is, how would you describe the future that you want to live in? And maybe just one or two adjectives if you can put in, please. Let's see. Okay. I'll give you a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. I see some answers coming in. Maybe like just another a minute or two, and then we can see the results. I'll do it this way. Hopefully this will work. All right. I think everybody, yes, I think you can see this now. Okay, we have 10 people so far, 11. How many people do we have currently in the audience? Jordana, do you know?
Right now we have 13 people watching us.
13, okay. So there's 11 people have answered. Maybe one of them is me. I mean, maybe one of the 13 is me. So I think that's fine. We can, so I just wanted to, kind of gather your ideas about when you think about the future, right? Like, what are your aspirations? So as you can all see, green, right? So green. This is a word cloud, and the biggest answers, the biggest words are those that were answered. Those were kind of the most frequent ones. So we have green, happy, plastic-free, sustainable, eco-friendly, good impact on others. Without COVID-19, yes. Democratic, stable, or eco-friendly, maybe. Futuristic. Great, perfect. So this is all kind of what I wanted to, I think, get to, is that when a lot of times when I just ask people, when you actually stop for a minute, and I think people during this time, during the COVID-19 time, I hope they had the time to sometimes to just stop and think about what's going on and how this period can help us to be more sustainable in the future. So when you ask, most of the time when you ask people what they, how they want to see their future, these are the types of answers that you get, right? Like green, happy, plastic-free, sustainable. And so just to give you a bit more background on and sustainable development and sustainability in general. It's not something that I think now a lot of time you hear it a lot, but it's not something that is new. First time that this term sustainable development was coined was in 1987 in a document called Brundtland Report. And basically, they defined it as sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And later on, there were a lot of, I'm not going to go into all of the different kind of history of sustainable development, but the main kind of key events in the world history were also adoption of Millennium Development Goals. I think a lot of people have heard of them. They were 8 different goals adopted in 2000 that countries, mostly developing countries, kind of were supposed to reach to improve the quality of life in their countries. So that was for 15 years, from 2000 to 2015. And afterwards, also during that time, this kind of concept of planetary boundaries has also been introduced. And what is planetary boundaries? It's basically a concept that involves Earth system processes that contain environmental boundaries, right? That's saying that actually the resources that we have in this world are not limitless, that there are certain boundaries, and they have identified actually 9 different environmental boundaries, and they are represented here in this image. Obviously, like some of the ones that kind of everybody knows about today, or that are kind of more talked about, is the climate change, but also like ozone depletion, you know, freshwater use, land system, ocean acidification, things like that. And I think the main key things that we need to kind of think about or retain when we think about sustainable development is the concept that there are needs, right? That there are certain needs that people want to have. Also, in some of the countries, developing countries, and also developed countries, the needs of the poorer populations that don't have the same access to certain services to improve their quality of life, but also the fact that our planet has limitations, and those limitations are imposed either by the state of technology and the way we have organized our society, and also certain very physical environmental limitations. Okay, and if you want to get more information about this, I included the link here about the planetary boundaries. It's StockholmResilience.org Research Institute. Okay, so after the MDGs, when they were done in 2015, the next big thing was the Sustainable Development Goals. How many people, is everybody familiar with Sustainable Development Goals?
Like personally, me, not with all of them. I was researching about this and I read all of them, but I don't I'm not an expert in that totally.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of people who doesn't even know about the sustainability, the idea of itself, and the main goal of this too in the audience.
Okay, yeah, so I'll just briefly then mention them, and then if anybody has any questions at any point, please feel free to write them, and then we'll go over them. I would not necessarily say that I'm an expert on everything, but it's something that I'm very passionate about, that I kind of daily, in my daily life and work, I am always I'm working in this, and I'm constantly learning about this. So SDGs basically are a call for action by all countries, poor, rich, and middle-income countries, to promote prosperity while at the same time protecting our planet. They are also known as global goals, and they were adopted by United Nations member states. So all of the member states of the UN, which today are 193, they all kind of integrated these SDGs and said, yes, we all agree that we need to work on this. We need to be working towards sustainable development, and we need to do something about it. And basically, the SDGs are supposed to be all-encompassing. So they're basically 5 Ps, which is people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. So every single goal, you can attribute them to either one of those Ps. And also, what is very important about them is that all of these goals are dependent on another one. You cannot, for example, if we take good health and well-being. Good health and well-being is interlinked, is necessarily connected with so many other. Like if you really actually go and you start decomposing what it actually means, good health and well-being maybe is dependent, to your access to education. Maybe you don't know certain things about, for example, let's take the example of COVID-19 today. We can say that maybe some people, some communities don't have full access to information about the virus, so they're not able to protect themselves accordingly. It's also maybe linked to gender equality, maybe linked to goal number 6, which is access to clean water and sanitation. It can be linked to hunger, goal number 2. So just to kind of give you the idea that actually all of them are related to each other. Are interconnected, and basically all countries in the world have a stake in making them work, because we cannot say that it's only developing countries that need to achieve SDGs. It's actually also developed countries that are working, that it is in their interest as well, because, for example, climate change or environmental degradation does not know borders. So basically, it's all it's also, this is why we also have goal number 17, which is partnerships for the goal, meaning that we need partnerships across geographical boundaries, and also across public sector, private sector, NGOs, academia, universities. Okay, so I think I'll continue to the next slide. Yeah, I see that there's a comment. Can we ask something? Please, go ahead. You can type it in, and then maybe if it's related to what I'm presenting now, I can either reply to it right away, or maybe we'll take it at the end of the presentation. So just to kind of reiterate again, right? Why climate change? Why all these things are connected, and why are they important? Because sometimes, especially living sometimes in the city, people forget that actually environment, climate, and nature, and livelihoods. By livelihoods, I mean the ability of people to provide for themselves, right? To go to work, go to basically engage in an activity that helps them to survive and earn money. So a lot of times people forget that actually environment and livelihoods are linked, and that you cannot have one without the other. One example is that, for example, air pollution. In some places in the world today, air pollution is so bad that people don't even open windows at home, right? Like in India, in Delhi, air pollution at some days of the year before COVID-19 was so bad that that people actually have not seen blue skies for a very long time. And that has an impact not just on kind of your quality of life, but it actually has direct impact on your health as well. And a lot of people sometimes don't think about it that way, but air pollution, for example, takes away certain number of years, and there are complications that happen that actually shorten your lifespan. or for example, climate change also has a direct impact on in some countries, it has direct impact on your economic activity. For example, farmers, right? When you don't have irrigation, if it doesn't rain for a very long time, then you have a very big risk that your crop is going to be that you're not going to have your crop that year. So it has direct impact also on that. And so just to kind of give the main kind of key, I think one of the biggest challenges that we face today is climate change and depletion of natural resources. That includes environmental degradation of different sorts, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, the carbon emissions. Then achieving good health and well-being for everybody, it is still a big problem, and I would say everywhere in the world. Also promoting economic growth and reducing inequality. Actually, the rise of inequality is one of the biggest problems of our times. It's how can the best way probably that I can explain it is even the countries, or not even, but also a country like United States of America, which is the richest country in the world today, is also a place where inequality is very, very pronounced. The fact that you can have, for example, in one place in a city like New York or in Los Angeles, you can have areas where there's a very extreme concentration of wealthy, rich people. But at the same time, if you just cross the street, you will see also a lot of people living in poverty and not having access to healthcare, not having access to quality education, and suffering from all of these things. And also during these times today, when we see with COVID-19, this has also been very we see how this inequality throughout the world is even you basically are shining light on it, because one example is that was the fact that we have to stay at home while to limit the spread of the virus also shows you that for some people staying home is actually not the same thing as for others. For example, like if you don't have a good internet connection, then your children might not be able to follow online distance learning. If you are don't have access to your job also through kind of online services, and basically you're losing your source of income and things like that. Okay, so another question, and it is, what is the purpose of technology in your sense? Since we're talking about, I'm slowly kind of taking it from sustainable development to technology. So yes, if we can do the same thing again, and go to menti.com and answer the question, what do you think is the purpose of technology? Okay, we have first answer, instant access to anything. Yes, the password is 522135. Okay, so we have economic growth, make life easy, connect people, less harm to nature, digitalization. Interesting answers. But why do we need the digitalization in the first place? I can answer again. We can discuss this later. Make life easier. Okay, we have 2 times. Answer the technology. The purpose of technology is to make life easier. Okay, we have 7 people. Maybe we'll just wait a little bit more and then we'll continue. If anybody else wants to chip in. Make life of people more comfortable and easier. So the purpose of technology is great presentation. I understand. Okay.
In the meantime, can I ask a question regarding to the
Sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
Because I have a concern about the society and the how we form the societies, like capitalistic style or communism or anything like that. It does really neglect the idea of equality, like especially the capitalism. You know, like in the New York you mentioned, I have seen that myself as well. So I just question this equality thing. Is this like directly connected to the how society was formed? And isn't it like quite like impossible to make everybody equal?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Adona, for this question. I really love it. It is something that I kind of myself feel very passionate about. So yes, I do think it's definitely inequality is linked to the way we as a society, what we decide kind of how to build it, right? What are the rules of our society? So, and this is why you have all these, like you mentioned, you have capitalism, communism, socialism, many other types. And it's also, I have to mention that, and I have to say that, I mean, of course, capitalism also is different everywhere, right? There's no one form of capitalism. There are different types of capitalism. There are different types of socialism. Also, a lot of people, for example, people think of communism and they say, okay, Soviet Union, we have kind of direct history with communism. But again, there are some other people that argue that no, actually, Soviet Union was not true communism. That was not the communism as, for example, some philosophers like Karl Marx and others have actually written about the communism. Yes, it took certain kind of attributes, but it did not. It didn't necessarily kind of develop it in the truest form of communism. So it is a complicated question, but to kind of a quick, simple answer is yes, like it is inextricably linked to how we built our society. What we decide is most important for our society, and kind of the economic rules that we put in place. So, for example, in the US, it's kind of the epitome, the extreme capitalism, which was not like that all the time. It was starting from the 70s, it started to become more, there was more and more deregulation, more rules about what certain businesses, what big corporations can do. Those rules were started, they were taking them out. And so kind of financial sector, banks, they got more power and they were able to, have big lobbies and things like that. At the same time, in Europe, what we see is also capitalism. It's also market-based economy, but they have kind of more socialistic systems in place that ensure that people have access to basic needs like health and education, and that they are taken care of by the government. So I hope that answered a little bit the question, but we can discuss it in more. It's a very interesting.
I feel like I'm so pessimistic about this equality thing and this all, the sustainability goals, because, the society that we're living in right now, this is so hard to rebuild stuff because there are some really, like roots are so into the earth, so we can't actually take out and then just build everything in just 10 years or something. I mean, yeah, I think I am a little pessimistic, but I really hope like we will reach these goals because I do think these are extremely important for the next generation and for ourselves as well.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. So just kind of to summarize the answers that you guys have given and what you think is the purpose of technology, I think the biggest one that is coming is like make life easy. It's definitely, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 people have said that make things easier is the purpose and make more comfortable. People said, okay, economic growth, instant access to anything, connecting people, things like that. So I wanted to also kind of maybe go back to the definition of technology and what it actually is, because sometimes, a lot of times people today, when you say technology, they think, oh, it must be something with computers, you know, like coding, things like that, software engineering, but it's not only software engineering, right? So the dictionary, Merriam-Webster in Cambridge, that I kind of quickly Googled and found, say technology is the practical application of knowledge in particular area. So it can be engineering, medical technology. It's a capability given by practical application of knowledge. Okay, sorry, something doesn't make sense, but basically it's a practical application of scientific knowledge, and also kind of using technical processes and scientific methods to do something, right? To apply it in industry. And I really like that, kind of going back to the definition, because it's basically, you know, technology can also be, there's this also kind of concept of high tech and low tech, right? High tech is like something that is very complicated, sort of complicated technology, but low tech is something that is kind of does not necessarily require very complicated, complex systems, but it's that anybody can do. For example, going and building some sort of let's say some sort of a kind of nature-based solution is also a technology. There's actually a lot of technology that is found in nature. Okay, and then just transitioning a bit into 1 second, into the challenges that I have mentioned earlier. So climate change and depletion of natural resources, and some of the good health, economic growth, inequality, gender equality, and thinking about how can we use technology to solve these problems, to solve these challenges. So the kind of the answer, right, comes that today technology can help with solving a lot of problems. They can help eradicate hunger. They can help with epidemics, as we're seeing today. They can increase life expectancy. You know, vaccines are and medical supplies are all technologies that people have come up with and that have increased our lifespan by a lot and improved it. So all of that, kind of when we think about today, what are some of the frontier technologies to do that? Is technologies that promote carbon neutrality, right, or reducing carbon emissions for good health and well-being. Some of the things that kind of very trendy today is like AI, machine learning, robotics, genetic technologies, new ways for drug delivery and vaccines. So everybody today now with the coronavirus is trying to, the biggest pharmaceutical companies now are trying to develop a vaccine to be able to, you know, reduce the impact of COVID-19, or to kind of, so that we were able to resume our work, our life as before. And also, again, for promoting economic growth and reducing inequality, some of the same technologies that were mentioned earlier, machine learning, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, digital finance, and the same goes for gender equality. Again, just kind of some ideas, some topics that are considered frontier technologies. And by frontier, I mean technologies that have the highest potential, the highest kind of maybe capacity to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and to help us problem solve, and solve these challenges. So AI, renewable energy, energy storage, autonomous vehicles, and some of the topics that are related with that. I think if you kind of are in this field and you hear a lot about clean tech, ed tech, health tech, ocean tech, everything tech, circular economy, remote sensing, and one big thing is also one big field is data. And so with regards to data, I just wanted to give some couple of examples of what kind of the big technology companies are doing today, and because they also have realized that they also need to do their part, given the big kind of responsibility and the big share that they hold in the world, the big power that they have. So just wanted to give you an example of Google, because it is the Google Developers Group meetup. So I don't know if you heard about them, but Google has this kind of branch that's called AI for Social Good. And that's basically kind of, they're working on applying artificial intelligence to some of the world's biggest challenges. And this is the link. You can go and check out kind of the different resources that they have for nonprofits and also for individuals. And they also have what they call Google AI Impact Challenge, which is, I think it's annual. I have applied last year with one of the projects that I was working on with my team, but we didn't get it. But basically, it's a pool of $25 million that they distribute between nonprofits all over the world. It doesn't have to be nonprofit, actually. I'm sorry. It's for different. It can be for-profit, nonprofit, different teams. It can be university team. But you have to clearly demonstrate how you are using different types of technologies and the impact that you are, kind of the social impact. How are you contributing to making this world a better place? And just some of the examples of the big, they selected 20 different organizations last year, and some of the applications that they are using is using water better for agriculture and irrigation, different technologies for kind of saving the rainforest from deforestation, creating tools for deaf people and other people with other disabilities, for lowering emissions and things like that. Also, another example is Facebook. You can love Facebook, you can hate it. There's a lot of different also controversies with regards to Facebook and their policies across the world and privacy, things like that. But also at the same time, a lot of people use it because it gives you so much, so many opportunities in terms of being connected with people, staying connected, events and things like that. And so this initiative that they have is called Data for Good. And as you can see, so basically they're opening and giving the data that they have gathered through Facebook to different nonprofits, different organizations that are working on humanitarian issues. And some of the things here, the data sets that they have is population density maps, different surveys, also maps that they develop from the information that they get from Facebook. Basically, I haven't checked, but we can go and check what they have for Uzbekistan, what kind of data set they have. I think it would be interesting to see, because basically every time we use it, we're giving more data, we're giving more information to Facebook.
Exactly.
Yes. So, okay, so before I go into there, any questions or comments at this stage, at this point? I think, yeah, what I forgot to mention also, kind of like my answer to what the purpose of technology is, would be that technology is just another way to problem solve. It's just another word for problem solving. And it's in itself, it's neutral to me. That's what I believe. It doesn't have a kind of, it's not positive, it's not negative. But the way we use it has a kind of a positive or negative impact. So I think in this sense, it is kind of people that are working with, I mean, technology today is kind of, it's in our everyday life. But I think sometimes we don't necessarily stop and think, okay, what is the actual impact of this technology? You know, is there an impact on, I don't know, emissions, you know, or is there an impact on privacy for some people, things like that. So just some food for thought that we can discuss afterwards.
And can I ask you one question? I'm sorry.
Yes, sure.
A lot. But you've seen a lot of innovative ideas, especially in technology, sustainable development, I guess. What are the most innovative ideas or the products you think are from your experience?
Wow, that's yeah, that's a really it's a difficult question because I think that there's a lot of there's so many, and also, you know, technology is so wide. I think a lot of times what we forget also is that the most innovative ways of, you know, application of technology is not necessarily something completely new, but it's a way that people have not really thought about using, you know, using that technology for. So a lot of times it kind of, yeah, I have to think about it a bit more, I think, because I think some of my favorites are kind of more related to energy and things like that. And this is kind of increasing or improving the renewable energy, improving the use of, or like the energy storage. I think those are maybe not necessarily the most kind of innovative because they also take a long time actually to come up with. It's not just like overnight.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's a good question. I'll think about it a bit more.
Wait for the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So just wanted to give like some examples of kind of, this is a project that I worked on, and actually we won a couple of challenges with this. We won a first place in what's called Geneva Challenge. A Geneva Challenge. It's a challenge, a contest for graduate students, so master level students, that is open for everybody in the world. It's something that I think also, if anybody of you is a student, you can look into that. And it's basically, a lot of times they focus on different societal challenges and problems, and they would like to see certain kind of technologies used to solve those problems. And so in last year or the year before, our team, we got the first prize with this project called Data Analytics for Sustainable Herding. And the problem that we were looking at is actually in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. Pastoralism, which is livestock, right? Like holding livestock, like fermerstvo in Russian. It's a major economic activity that provides economic sustenance to up to 40 million people. And however, today, with the problems, with the challenges such as climate change, rising sea levels, increased unpredictability in seasons, which is reducing rainfall, is affecting them directly. And in a way that they have less access to resources, they have less access to, there's not enough water, there's not enough land, and there's increased competition between so nomadic nomads who have livestock and between farmers who irrigate and who kind of have land plots and they farm, right? They're sedentary. And this leads to violent conflicts between farmers and herders. So when we studied a lot this problem, also trying to apply as much design thinking and human-centered design as we could, interviewing directly people from different countries in sub-Saharan Africa, such as Senegal, Burkina Faso, other places, talking with academics, talking with people that are working on this problem, with climate scientists, so understanding the problem. And kind of our solution was a platform or a tool for public policymakers to understand this complex problem better. Because the problem a lot of times today with all these many different factors is the fact that there's a lot of different information that you need to take together and kind of combine and make sense of. So our solution was a platform that can aggregate data, that can also afterwards, from various different resources online that are openly available, that can create data visualization in a way that is user-friendly and that speaks to people. And afterwards, kind of also develop certain algorithms for prediction, right? So kind of predict, okay, so based on the climate forecast for the next month, there will be no rain, or there will be, extreme, maybe very hot temperature, and then combining that with other data sets about the country, kind of understanding, okay, what would be the hotspots in the country, what would be the areas in the country that will be under stress. And the user of the solution would be actually policymakers, government, or different international organizations that will look at that and try to put things in place to help those people, to help populations that are affected by that. Yeah, so this is just kind of information about. So that was one of the applications, kind of a direct like certain technology applications that we worked on. We were also a group of 5 people coming from all over the world, different countries, and I think that's also what makes it kind of interesting when you can combine different perspectives. Another example is actually the current situation with the coronavirus. With the quarantine, everybody, I think, is still probably confined at home. And the problem that that we have identified is that there are many different groups that don't have access to basic services while they're quarantined, because either they're elderly people, or they have some maybe chronic diseases or other things, and so they are quarantined and they don't have access. So what we kind of brainstormed and came up with the solution to this problem that we came up with is to create a sort of a volunteering platform, a matchmaking place for volunteers on one side, and for organizations and people that need help on the other side. So this looks like this. We call it Bardamlik, which I think everybody knows. In Uzbek means kind of solidarity, togetherness. And this is something that we are working on right now, actually with a team. And we just recently got news yesterday that we also won the COVID-19 challenge by IT Park. So hopefully we'll be working on this more and developing it into something that can be implemented very soon. It's already, you can also go online and kind of give us feedback on anything, basically. It's bardamlik.uz. Kind of the first version that is online, but it still needs to be, it's kind of the pre-MVP version, if I can put it that way. Oops, 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so this was just kind of like the 2, direct examples of certain kind of how technology can be used for social impact, for solving the problems that will make the lives of our communities better, but also hopefully contribute to the sustainability of our planet and of our resources. And these are some of the things that I kind of included as resources, as I mentioned before. Google AI for Social Good, Facebook Data for Good, MIT Solve is also a challenge that is open to, again, everybody in the world. They have different directions that they usually focus on. But again, most of the time it's basically kind of how can we use technology to solve these problems. XPRIZE is another great organization that has really big competitions. They're like multi-million, and they give, I think, up to 1 million actually for different organizations to solve some of the most difficult problems. UN for more information about sustainable development. And then I'll also include, I haven't finished this yet, but I'll include a bit more maybe information about different incubators or different other resources that bridge together technology and social good sustainable development. Yeah, and I think I would end on that. I wanted to kind of, I guess, the main objective for me that I wanted, the message that I was trying to convey with this, especially for people coming from Uzbekistan or from other countries, is that there's a lot of technology today basically kind of is limitless, right? Like there's so much that it basically you would just, what we are limited by is our imagination. And if we can imagine something that is bringing, value, not just to, let's say, kind of having faster delivery of our food or, getting a cab and getting from A to B faster, but also is bringing value to our planet and our communities, then I think this is what kind of this is the type of technology that we need more of. And so I challenge you to imagine a future that is prosperous for all, and go and build it. And if you want to get in touch with me, I will be more than happy. You can contact me at my email or connect on LinkedIn, Nigora Isamiddinova. And I would end on that. I have a couple of maybe questions for further discussion. If we want to do that, or if there are any questions, we can talk more about. We can take the questions.
I think we don't have kind of topic-specific questions, but here are some cheerleaders. And hello, Dilnaza.
Hi, Dilnaza. Thank you.
And Durdana also has some fans who are asking to smile more. Yeah, please, everyone, smile more.
Come on.
Yeah, and great presentation. Thank you very much. I also have questions. We can start with that, or we can take some other questions as well. And as Abdul Malikov is also saying, there is an opportunity in agriculture as well, because in Uzbekistan we have a lot of like livestock, and like we have a lot of lands, which is, I think it's not utilizing our energy resources like up to not even 50%, because like we use the same technology we did like maybe like 20, 50 years ago. Yeah, some companies are doing some new stuff, but now I don't see a lot of technology mixing in this area. And what do you think? What would be kind of a good kind of motivation, or what would be the starting point when farming or farmers will start bringing some more technologies in their lives?
Yeah, I think also sometimes kind of before trying to come up with a solution, like kind of what Asma was also saying in her presentation, right? Sometimes some maybe like very sophisticated technology might not be the answer to some of the problems, right? Like I think what is very important is to spend time and to really understand what the problem really is, and to kind of what is the root cause. What is the root cause of the problem? And I think a lot of times, if you understand that well, you can basically after that develop sort of like kind of thinking, what are the different ways that we can go about solving this problem. And technology is just like one way. Like I think the way it helps is kind of to think, okay, what would it be? What do we need to make something better? And then you can think that, okay, are there some technological solutions that help with that? But also in agriculture, I think in farming, a lot of times what we had before, like you mentioned, yeah, it's like some old technologies from the Soviet Union times that a lot of times are not efficient anymore, but also the ones that actually have created a lot of problems. So soil depletion, like salinization of soil, things like that are actually something that I think in Uzbekistan it's a big problem today. Use of water, right? Especially with like what happened. If we are in, especially us, we are in a region and kind of in an area where water is very scarce. So we need to we need much more innovation with the use of water. So I think the bridge between the two, between farmers actually using certain innovations technologies, I think is that more people need to be interested in that. I think, kind of also if, for example, the young generation, a lot of times people have the stigma. They think, oh, farming is like not progressive or it's not interesting and things like that. But it's actually one of the most important things and one of the most important fields for everybody, because if there's no farmers, then we don't have any food in our, in our life. So I think there should be more young people that are also interested in that are kind of understanding the problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be spending your time, if you don't want to, that you're kind of in the farm, but I think there should be some kind of maybe a program, or we need to make it kind of trendy again. We need to make it like really prestigious to kind of think about these problems, maybe some, through hackathons, things like that. And then also, I think just kind of like talking and like talking that and bringing the actual value, the importance of that, understanding how it is important for our economy, for our everyday life, and for the planet in general.
Yeah.
And then I think there definitely should be also maybe some programs from the government, from the private sector, that also explain to farmers certain technologies, right? There should be the technologies that already exist, kind of how can we take and how can we use them in our context? Like, are they adaptable? Are they relevant? What are the obstacles? And things like
and
that.
one good thing about this technology and agriculture is, even though the drones are banned in Uzbekistan, they can use drones for agriculture purpose only. So that's kind of good thing that they know it can be used as well. And I really like the point you made, like they should be ready to accept those changes. And also, technology is not solution, but it might kind of cause some other problems as well if you do not do it well, as we saw in some kind of technologies we have today, or also processes. Some processes might be kind of dangerous, and it might have some negative effect on the lives as well, right? So it will be interesting to see more technologies coming in our sustainable development as well in Uzbekistan, literacy maybe, and education, and also agriculture. And hope to see other areas. Maybe if you have any ideas, our viewers, please leave it in the comments what opportunity we have in technologies. And also, what kind of limitations? I'm thinking, what kind of limits for innovation and progress? Like your next question. I think that would be not enough interest, not enough demand. As we know, it's like we are in the market kind of capitalistic world. So if there is no demand, then there is no kind of offerings as well. And also, sometimes it's all about kind of rewards as well. Like you do something and like you show it to government, or you show it to someone, and they might be like, okay, no, it might not work. But if you put the same effort to other thing, it might work, and you can sell it globally. maybe that's a reason. So we still have some kind of people who are not ready for changes and who are not willing to accept those, or maybe they have their own way of solving problems that young people might not know. Or also another cause, what I think is they might not know about the problem because if you live in Tashkent, you might be very kind of away, like remote from other regions. Like you might not know if there is a water problem, and somehow, unfortunately, maybe some people may not have, like they cannot afford the education as well, so they might stay in their areas. So and they may never come to this, like solving their problems in technology way. So maybe that's also kind of limit for innovation and progress as well. And also, I think another thing is I saw a lot of places people wait for changes from upper side. Like they wait for president to say something. They want the government to do something in the area. Instead, they can take the lead and start their own thing and change their, like maybe neighbor's life, maybe like their family's life, and start small, and they can make it bigger. And I think that's a mindset also, like from not only from government, but we should like accept it from like everyone in Uzbekistan as well, like growth mindset and be open for change as a person as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think that's really key. Yeah, I think a lot of times sometimes people just kind of wait, they say, oh, the government should do this or somebody else should do this, instead of kind of taking responsibility. And I think that's kind of, key to also progress in general, is to be able, kind of, if you see a problem and you, instead of, yes, I also think that, there are responsibilities that the governments have, but at the same time, if you see a problem that is maybe in your community, I think people a lot of times kind of forget to ask themselves, okay, what can I do about it? Can I do something to solve it? And if they can, then they kind of, just to see, okay, what kind of concrete actions I can take. But it also takes time to kind of build this mindset, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
May I ask the last question here? Yeah, I'm asking a lot of questions. There is what I think is right now the economy is like hugely, it is affected by COVID-19. So which means kind of economy breaking down in a few months or year maybe. This crush of the economy, how this will affect in technologies and sustainable development. Because I think like one thing you can create something, the second is affording the things, like you use resource, you use money, and the huge countries, they are investing in like energy sector to make it better, and other sectors like education or the huge ones like agriculture again. So what do you think, will this boost actually this technologies, the creations and innovation, or will this actually like pace down these changes, how this is going to affect
I think that it definitely is right now. I think it is a period, or is an opportunity to think about how we can do things differently, how we can change certain certain technologies or certain like kind of directions that we're going in, like certain policies that we have. And a lot of countries actually have used this time to also implement certain changes. I have read that some countries, some cities in Europe, for example, are getting rid of cars inside the city. They kind of implementing more bike-friendly lanes and things like that. Also, I just read yesterday that Uzbekistan is increasing the share of renewable energies in their mix. So they will be trying to develop more solar and wind energy, which is, I think, great news. And so yes, definitely it is a big shock, because a lot of people, right, are it is a big shock to economy, because for such a long time people were staying at home. So a lot of people have lost their incomes, but at the same time there is a lot of kind of financial help that is coming now from different international organizations, and like the World Bank, not UN, but like other organizations that are Asian Development Bank, things like that, for countries all over the world. And I think that is also an opportunity now to kind of take those funds and try to use them in a way that that is sustainable and that is promoting green technologies. So it's definitely, I think it's not necessarily one way or the other. There is a lot of negative impact, but there's also an opportunity that we can kind of seize and we can try to build on. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Wow. Yeah, it's we
also
passed
just wanted
2 hours. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to kind of, I guess, as a final wrap up, I just wanted to kind of motivate people in this group and everybody who's here. If this was not something that you thought about before, that maybe you think about it a bit, give a bit more thoughts to these topics, and maybe can think about how your skill set, if you're a developer, you're one of the most wanted people on the planet Earth today, and there's many different ways that you can contribute. So maybe you can kind of think about how you can contribute your skill sets to certain causes that are that can help us all continue together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. And as I said, like we passed 2 hour mark, but we didn't notice at all. And it was really a great conversation as well, and a great presentation from you. And if we wrap up today, we had a great design sprint introduction from Asmaa as well. And don't forget, viewers, please don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And we have one more day of Women Tech Maker events are coming. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how an Uzbek girl landed an internship at Google, and she will tell the process and the secrets as well. And thank you so much for all, for everything and joining. And if you have any questions, you can leave in the comments, or you can find Nigora on LinkedIn, Nigora Isamiddinova. And also we might post this. We might post this presentation as well. If anyone requests, you can just join our Telegram group. And if you have any questions, you might ask them there as well. And I think that's all. Thank you so much, Nigora, Durdona. We had a great event today. And
thank you,
everyone. Thank you for joining and staying with us. And see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.